Before I explain more about these spiritual, about this spiritual chaos and the deception which is there, this deceptive system. Let me also first give a clear-cut definition of what's an ashram, what is the purpose of an ashram, and what's in a temple. What is expected in a temple? So, if I look at an ashram, ashram was started by gurus, and they were real gurus, and they have a very clear objective that ashram will be a place for spiritual development, and how the ashram will support and sustain itself was that gurus had some followers, and those followers could actually create a trust, and the whole idea of creating a trust was that it can actually impart this kind of education for the seekers, and seekers can also donate. So idea was not to actually amass money out of it or make an empire over there. The gurus who started this ashram, like if I give you an example of Yog Niketan ashram, Yoganand Maharaj, Guru Yogi, he started an ashram, but now what, it's become a business center. It's like these are now yoga schools. Basically, they're teaching some form of yoga, and they call it ashram. So they shouldn't call it ashram. They should call it yoga school. Calling ashram is just not right, because ashram is supposed to be giving. It's supposed to place for satsang, where a guru comes and gives satsang, gives lectures, discourses. That's an ashram, and where there is a kind of a no profit cost for people to stay and pay, and not a profitable business. But today what people are running is they're running these schools, and there are proper schools also. Some call it ashram, some call it schools. So when we go to an ashram thinking what to expect, we don't even know what to expect in an ashram. So it's very important we should know what to expect in ashram before we actually land up in these places. So people are creating an ashram, and they are like running like dharamshalas. If you go to Narmada Tat, there are so many dharamshalas. The main only purpose of ashram is feed the parikrama pilgrimage. But that's one thing, But you don't call it ashram, then call it a dharamshala. Why do you call it a ashram? Ashram is where people come, and they come for satsang. But if you are creating ashrams, because what happens when they are feeding the pilgrims, in the name of pilgrimage, they are getting a lot of donation, and what they offer is khichdi, and they get a lot of money. So the whole idea of running these dharamshalas is basically, and they call it ashram, is making money out of it. So the whole idea is not to create that ashram to provide all that, but just to run it as a dharamshala. So this is what is happening, and the core definition of ashram has to be understood. And probably literally today, I really don't know any ashram like that exists where people are doing some swadhyaya, self-inquiry, self-study. There should be a library where people go, and there should be a guru who gives a daily discourse, morning, evening discourse. That kind of thing should be there. And what is a temple? Why do you go to a temple? You go to a temple because uh, you go to surrender your ego. You believe in Almighty, you believe in God. So you go there, it's a peaceful place, it gives an environment, and I'll tell you the right example of a temple is a Gurudwara. This Gurudwara does Sankirtan, Sangat, and Seva. All three things which are there in the Sanatan Sanskriti is happening there. And people go, pay their respect to the Almighty, to the Guru, and then they donate whatever they want to donate. But today, what is happening in Gurudwara, there is no offering. There's nothing called offering. So there's no economy running around the Gurudwara. It's a very well-defined organization which is very pure. This is what a temple should be doing. The temple is only collecting money, offering. The whole thing about temple is, if you go to temple, you have to offer. You have to offer. So there's a whole economy running around a temple. You have to buy those things and offer the sweets and various things, flowers. This whole economy is running around the temple. And when you go inside, again, you have to donate some cash also. And if you don't donate, then a lot of temples, there are the pandits who are standing there asking you to donate. I have seen in many temples there are pandits who are asking that take my service, and if you don't, then they will abuse you. It happens. It happened with me in Puri temple. So this is what is happening in temple. The fund which is coming into the temple is not going back for charity. Nobody knows where the money is going, and they have huge amount of wealth, a lot of black money, a lot of big time donation is coming. Apart from this regular visitors, what they pay, apart from that, there is a huge amount of donation. I've seen in ISKCON Vrindavan, there is a room where a person is sitting, and there is a man who's standing outside. He's looking at prospective donors. So he goes, he caught me also. He thought I'm a prospective donor, and he took me to that guy. He's some director. He's doing kind of a marketing. He's capturing people who can be willing to donate. So they are constantly seeking donation. They are literally begging, and the kind of lifestyle those gurus they have, those people in the power in the hierarchy, and they have vice president, they have directors. So it's like a corporatized structure in ISKCON, and the kind of life they live is lavish life, very very lavish life. They are served. They have servers, they have assistants, they have secretaries, and it's like a very very corporate thing. But what is the ultimate aim? What actually they are achieving? So they ride over teaching of Bhagavad Gita, that we preach Bhagavad Gita, but preaching Bhagavad Gita is something, but are you really living what Gita preaches? That doesn't happen. It's mainly temple where people come to darshan. People locally in India, people go for a darshan, but around that darshan, that devotion, they create a whole lot of economy with a different motive. It's a huge amount of economy. So really you have to think what exactly you go where, what will you achieve. Have you ever questioned that? That's very important.
Hello everyone, I'll have to now talk and explain, give some more clarification, more than like what I made just now, the video which you saw before I started talking. That was a format which I thought is also very effective way of presenting the facts and expressing what I want to express. But I think I've thought there will be a limitation in typing text, and sometimes text interpretation is also a little complicated. That's where the speech is needed. So I have conveyed in the earlier text format, and now I'm going to talk a little bit about it, and also trying to give some examples. I don't want to be very very explicit. Sometimes I feel, should I really name those people or should I not? And also it's not that I am 100% sure about, I cannot say that all the ashrams will be like that, but generally it is like that. Like I would say probably 95% or 99%, because I have not seen every ashram in India, obviously. So during whatever I've seen, and I've spent my time and lived there, and I got associated with some and became close to some, and then I saw things, and so there's some kind of a extrapolation, some conclusion which I can draw and kind of generalize the things to really understand this spiritual world where people are flocking and they're very inquisitive and curious to know. At some point of time, a lot of people get pulled and attracted towards this spiritual understanding, the reality and knowing the real truth of life. And when they start doing that, they look for what is available. Like a lot of people from the West come to India because they feel India has some treasure of wisdom, and and even our Indians also feel that we have a lot of treasure of wisdom available. So where to look for it? That's one issue. And then generally, when people start seeking, they come across these gurus and ashrams and babas, and at different place, different kind of babas based on the audience. Like Hathras Baba, he was recently, I mean, the news has completely ignored him, and I mean the media has been quiet. So there's a great amount of nexus these babas have. So when you kind of unfold it, unravel it, you realize what kind of world is this. So I will talk to you about kind of a journey. Like last 10 years I've been going to the Himalayas and I've met quite a few yogis and I've made some videos about those yogis. I will say that the yogis, segregation which I can do, who are really good yogis with whom you can sit and have a conversation, are those who are living in real tough conditions like Gangotri, Kedarnath or Badrinath, not near the temple. Badrinath is like a valley, but those who are living somewhere little away from the temple, and because the conditions, the living conditions are very tough, and you need a very strong mental character, mental agility to be surviving there. So there are those good yogis who are there, and I won't say that they are really realized because they are not the ones who have learned how to take samadhi and leave the body. They have reached a very good state of mind. They are at peace. They have detached. They have attained pure detachment. They have attained purification of mind. But they are still a little away from the yogis, which probably are not visible to us. But they are in a different category, different league. So I'll now come back to the area which is accessible to people like Rishikesh and beyond Rishikesh, like people go to Uttarkashi or go to Kasar Devi and Almora, and accessible places in the Himalayas and in India, different places. There are mostly religious centers. Himalayas is considered to be more of a spiritual center, but there are spiritual gurus, even spiritual gurus, and there are a mix of spiritual religious, because in the plains, if they are in the rural area, they are targeting rural audience. They are a mix of religion and spirituality put together, because that's a kind of a cocktail which the crowd will like to lap it up. So like Bageshwar Dham or in Vrindavan. Varanasi is a mix of scriptures, knowledge, and religion and rituals, and it's got a different packaging there. And Vrindavan, Mathura is purely it's like more about temples. So there are towns which are purely religious, not spiritual, but there is an overlap because in Vrindavan there are a lot of Kathavachak storytellers, and there are some Babas who are a mix of spirituality and problem solver and religion. So generally the crowd is looking for a mix of both religion, so that packaging looks more attractive, more wholesome, and it doesn't go against the religious belief, because there is a big religious standing and foundation and a great belief. And so for the masses, this package looks wholesome. Now I've explained the scenario, the ecosystem which exists. Now there are many sadhus who are doing who are basically moving around in these places, and they are also being sought. Some of them are sought, some of them are not sought after, but so they are also part of this package, but they are majority of them are aloof, because they have not been able to draw the crowd. They have not been lucky to create their own ashrams. Very few are able to build an ashram, so they build up an empire. And but these sadhus and all these gurus, they have basically agenda, that though they renounce the world, but they could not renounce the world mentally. So all these people moving around in this region they haven't lost that desire for money and fame. While on this journey, when they are moving around, renouncing everything physically, they have faced many challenges in their life in terms of managing their basic needs. So there is a lot of struggle they go through, and there is always a mixed emotion they have, and they have mixed feelings, and they have mixed desires. At one point of time they're trying to seek the truth, and parallelly they are also struggling because they have these challenges in meeting their basic needs. So there is always this maya which can come and trap them, and it is there in them, I've seen. So moment they get an opportunity and a chance to get that fame, power and money, they will fall for it. So there is always a hidden agenda which is parallelly existing in all these people. So now I will come to all those who are sadhus, who don't have any ashram. So they are like a ignored lot. So they have their own struggles. So they are not the ones who really matter. But even if you come across them, and if you try to speak to them, they'll quickly like to come to their agenda and try to see how can they extract, how can they exploit the person. So there is always a effort which is there subtly. Initially it will not be there, but later on it comes. It does come. So if you talk about ashrams or these temples also, the whole idea is, and I don't have to tell this, I think if you go to even the major temples, there is a automatic flow of cash which is going into these temples and the ashrams also. Somewhere they are little very open about asking. Like I went to one temple nearby, Trambakeshwar temple, some years back. So one priest, the pandit which was standing, was literally forcing me to offer money. That you have to give some money. So they very even in Puri I saw that the pandits, they get after you. So there is already a kind of a system which is working to extract money out of you. So the temple, the whole idea of going to the temple, your idea doesn't really match with their idea, because their agenda is to actually extract money. They are there just to extract money and make money. And these trusts are very rich, and so nobody has any idea, because nobody can probe the money which the trust have. And these trusts are actually, there's a lot of infighting within those trusts also. And same is with the ashram also. Now I'll tell you what kind of money is coming. There is like a retail. Retail means normal visitors pay something, they donate something, they offer something, okay? And there's a whole lot of business which is around the temples, sweet shops, sweet offering a sweet, flowers. So the different category of packages available when you enter a temple. You have to buy those things. So there's an economy around the temple which is running. Now after that, when you go into the temple, you further offer something, cash, in those donation boxes. So this is for regular visitors. Somebody is offering 10 rupees, somebody is offering 100, somebody is offering 500, somebody may be offering 1000 rupees also. But beyond that, there are big donors. So there are donors who go and donate. Somebody donates 5000 rupees, somebody donates. So there will be another counter where somebody is sitting with a receipt. So there you can go and donate. Okay. Then there are large donors, very large donors, and I'll talk about those large donors which are actually paying a lot of money. Like, you cannot imagine how much money is being paid. And now what category of people are they? So they will be like, I'm not saying that all will be like that. There will be some genuine donors also who are very rich, who are giving suppose couple of lakhs or maybe a crore. But there are a lot of black money hoarders or black money creators who are donating this money to recover, to avoid tax. Suppose I pay 1 crore rupees. So because all these ashrams and temples are tax free, they are all foundations and trusts, so it's a tax free. So if you donate there for a religious or whatever cause, these kind of causes, so you are tax exempted. So if you are exempted, save 30% tax, so you save 30 lakhs. So these people keep 10 lakh, 10% they keep, and they give you back 20%. So instead of government getting 30 lakhs, the money gets divided between these two people and it becomes white. So this is how the major funding is happening in these ashrams. And then people are offering gold because they have accumulated so much. They are offering, there is a lot of gold in the temples. Where is the gold coming? Who's giving gold? How many people can afford to give gold? Those people who are stinking rich, filthy rich, they are shelling out in different forms, because they have a lot of cash. People with a lot of black money, even government employees, and then big businessmen. So there's a lot of money coming, and where is the money going? It is getting channelized to politicians, because wherever there's a lot of money coming, these are under close watch of various departments. So the money flows back and goes into the hands of politicians. So politicians are collecting money from all sides, wherever there is a accumulation of wealth happening. So politicians are also are without the blessings of politicians, these people cannot flourish, because when they flourish, the politicians also have to take the benefit. So there are two benefits for the large, big ones, the big gurus with big empires. They have also a vote bank. So if a politician visits any guru, so he is also kind of taking the guru's followers into his vote bank. So this is also being done, and gurus are also made to flourish. So gurus are created. So the media plays a large role, and there is a whole lot of marketing effort which goes to become a bigger guru. So once you are tied up with, so there is a lot of money. Without money, people can't reach that level, and they cannot create that kind of spiritual empire, which is also benefiting them and also benefiting their fellow brothers from the politics, or maybe also from the capitalists. So this nexus is there, and if there is a conflict, obviously the politician can ensure that that guru is sorted out, because at some point of time the guru probably started feeling larger than life, and he might feel that he's become so powerful that he will not care for the politician, and when that happens, then probably the politician tells, no, I am more powerful, and then you go behind you are in the jail. So that's how many politicians, these spiritual and religious gurus, keep reaching the jail, and so this drama keeps happening. And the real story is something very, very different, because there is some when the goons are together. So when the goons end up fighting some fine day, so this is what happens. And you may hear different stories that this happened, that happened, but those are all planted stories or framed, because all of these people have secrets. They do all kind of unethical things in their life. So everybody knows each other's secrets, and politicians are the one who are actually doing the most. But the art of doing, they know the art of doing. So nobody comes to know what exactly is that politician doing. Like this wrestler's case, this politician from Braj Bhushan Sharan, it came out in the open because they came on the road to expose him. But how many people really expose? And so these politicians get away with, and they're very powerful. So if they exploit somebody, you don't come to know. Same thing happens when these gurus also become very powerful. Their followers are either manipulated mentally to succumb to their nasty deeds, and by brainwashing them, or maybe even forcefully if they do, the follower doesn't have that power and wherewithal to fight against that kind of system, because they are part of the system. So a lot of people succumb and they withdraw, and some go through these exploitation for a long period of time. So people are facing these challenges, and these things don't come out in the media. Now I'll tell you about this. This is seen as a big profession now. Like if you go to the ashrams, I've seen that these ashrams, how they operate. Now I'll tell you about one ashram in Rishikesh, which owns a huge number of properties. I mean, you can't even count. They have so many apartments, so many shops in Rishikesh. They have huge amount of. In fact, there are 3-4 trusts in Rishikesh which own a major chunk of Rishikesh. Even in the town side, they own, I don't know, hundreds of shops. Now the point is, where did they get this money to buy from? Where did they get this money? Who got that money? So somebody channelized that money, and they bought so much property, and now they are getting a lot of rent, and they are running a big empire. And then what are they doing with the money which they are earning? No one knows. And because this ashram I'm talking about, I stayed in that ashram for a few months, working for them. I was doing a lot of their work, sorting out their some issues in the government departments. And then I realized that how much wealth they must be having, and that ashram is not open for people. It's just those few swamis who live there, and they are just managing the properties which they have, the rental which is coming. A lot of properties are lying vacant, unused, barren, because they have so much. And so the point is, how did they buy all this, and how did they buy so much? And nobody is questioning them. They are flourishing here. They have all the contacts. And in fact, they are not even Indian. They are originally from some country, other country in Europe. They've been living in India for 50 years. So the point is, then I'll talk about another ashram I went. I don't want to name the place, but there is a Swami who was running a liquor business, and I had a couple of cases against him. He's just become a Swami and wearing those clothes, and somehow started created a small ashram, put up a large board. People are passing by, people start visiting, people have devotion. Slowly you start getting little money, and you start building up that ashram. So you don't put your own money, and you are collecting money, and slowly you get the funds, and with time you make it. So what is the need to make an ashram? If you want to do some charity, have your own money to at least build up and do the charity with your own money. But if you think, if I decide that I want to make an ashram and I will only go begging, so basically you're begging to build up an ashram, and then you're begging to create a empire that you're doing seva, you're doing charity, but ultimately you are making a lot of money out of it. You become powerful, and you're thinking like a businessman. So the point is that wherever I've gone, I've seen this in ashrams, and I would say that there were very good gurus earlier who started these ashrams, but in the next generation, the people who took over, the trustees, they are running it as a pure business, and which is very, very sad. Like I would tell you about real good gurus who made a good empire, the good ashrams, when the teachings were very good. They had pure intentions, like Pandit Sri Ram Sharma, very realized soul, and Swami Ram, Yoganand Paramahansa, Swami Vivekanand. So they made some wonderful organizations. But today's time, the gurus which are the so-called gurus which you see, even in Vrindavan, Devra Baba Ashram, I stayed there for 2 months. Devra Baba, the wonderful saint, he lived on a tree house only, machan, simple, nothing. And his supposedly 2 disciples, one is alive, one was found dead 10 years back in the river in Uttarakhand. That's another story. And so they made a ashram, and now they are living a very protected and a very life he's got his own separate building, and if you go and stay in the ashram, you realize what it is. Almost every day they get ₹1,00,000 through the donation. A lot of donation coming. People are just coming whole day, and everybody drops in 100-200 rupees. So at the end of the day, you realize there's so much money has come. I counted week's collection. I was there counting one day because some people were counting, and they told me you also join. So I think that was a week's collection, and it was around 5-6 lakhs. And this is just a trickling input which is coming in. There are people who are donating. There was a guy who was a big donor there. He runs a coal business in Assam. I don't have to tell what is coal business. And he's a big donor in one of the big temple in Vrindavan. So he's a respected figure there because he's a big donor. But look what kind of money he's putting into these places. Coal business in Northeast. I don't have to explain that. So he's just converting his money. And when I became a little close, because he wanted me to help in some aspect, and then I realized he just comes, sits there in the air-conditioned room. He's being served like a king. He's least bothered about what he says. His whole agenda is something else. So his agenda is not really to do any charity, but his agenda is completely different. So what basically you see in these ashrams, whether these gurus or the donors who are backdoor donors, how the entire financial flow is happening, what is a hidden agenda. When you start living there and being close to them, then you realize what a big fraud is happening, and what kind of package or what kind of perception and what kind of image they are creating for the people who are coming with a lot of devotion. And but the reality behind is, and if you look at the committees, their working committees in these ashrams, the trustees, I mean, I just cannot tell you what all I have seen. So it is shocking actually. The revelations are very, very shocking. Okay, what kind of lifestyle they are living, and they are having all the respect and big hype. So it's a crazy world actually. It's a crazy world. So if you really think that you will come across, you will find some benefit in these places, actually you will not find. And if you want to go to some temple, why should God be in a particular temple more and less in some other temple and not anywhere else? So stories are created behind every temple. You go to every temple, there will be some story, some mysticism they will create, that this happened here, some magic happened, and people are awed by magic because they feel all the power is here only. So we all are following power. We are all looking for somewhere where there is some power, power through money and position. But even in God's world, we are looking only at the power of manifesting something, because we have an expectation that he will solve some problem, but the problem which we don't know what exactly is a problem, but we want God to give us wealth, health, without even, we don't want to follow what God has designed us for, but we want to be, our greed to be fulfilled by God by going to these places, that something magical will happen and God is very kind, he will give me if I go and beg there, I offer 500 rupees, he'll give me 5 crore rupees. So this is the kind of expectation we have. So we go to those places which have more mysticism, more stories, and more ancient, that this thing came from on its own, this came, and who knows who's verified it. So people create stories, and so what if how many people have got anything, but we are in this blind race of hope and faith, or what people say superstition, that we are flocking here, and who's benefiting? There's a whole industry which is benefiting: the travel industry, the hotel industry, the ashram industry, the restaurants, the cafes, and the temple. So this whole economy running around these towns, just because we, like fools, are flocking there thinking something will happen, but nothing happens. We don't want to do self-inquiry and introspection. We don't want to understand the meaning of what exactly Gita is teaching, what exactly the Vedas are teaching, Upanishads are teaching, or any of the religious scriptures are teaching. We get into the rituals, but we don't get into the knowledge, the wisdom part, and we don't understand the consciousness part of the humanity and the soul. But we get into the rituals, we are looking for magic, we are looking for mysticism. So what happens is, because of our own stupidity, foolishness and ignorance and wrong direction, greed, there's a whole lot of system which has been created to exploit that, and all of them are like that. I can tell you, if you go inside, anybody who's trying to create an ashram has some different motive. Anyone, I can prove it. Every ashram, every guru, they have a different motive. If you really want true person who can talk pure wisdom, somebody who's actually living in solitude, and those kind of people you can find in those remote places in the Himalayas, who have actually left the world completely. But people who are living in the world, they are completely enveloped, engulfed in this materialistic world, and they have those hidden agendas of greed, fame, lust and power, and a lot of unethical things are happening. It is not so simple. It's very, very complicated, because the amount of money which is coming is mind-boggling.
Now, one more example I will tell you is about one yogi whom I met, the first yogi whom I met in 2015, was a disciple of one very highly realized yogi. So I was meeting him for consecutive years. Every time I used to visit, and I used to spend a lot of time talking to him. And that time he was not known. He became known only when I made the video on my channel of his guru, which became viral. And since then people have been going. And till then there were not many people, hardly anyone going. So I used to spend a lot of time talking to him. And we had interesting spiritual discussions. It was a beginning for me also. But as time passed, I realized I started observing things which started getting some doubts in my mind. And his behavior was very nice when I was alone. But whenever I came across somebody else coming there and I'm also talking, he became very, very different in his attitudes toward me, trying to run me down and talk very, very differently. Then actually I ignored that. I did not really give much heed to that. Then something happened that one of the YouTube follower, young boy, He went there, and then similar thing was told by somebody else also, that when they lived there, and this yogi asked them to pay for a course which he was going to teach them. And he also used to take the Aadhaar card and PAN cards of these people, identity cards, so that these guys don't leave. So when they stayed there, he took away their cards, identity cards, and then he charged them. Then there are a few more things which I observed, and some of his statements were, I've wasted my entire life. He's 88-year-old, and he quite a few times he told me that he has wasted his life. What has he achieved? And then that was a little shocking to me. And there are some more things which I wouldn't like to share. There are some little personal also, and eventually that his setup was demolished by the forest department. So I was just wondering that spending entire life and you still are greedy for fame and money. And he also donated 1 crore rupees for Ram Mandir. And when I came to know, I found out that he had more than 2 crores in the bank. So the point is, where did he get that money from? It cannot be accumulated by people coming there. So that was another lie. Somebody channelized that money through him. And then I told him once, if you have so much money, why don't you do some charity work here in this place itself? You can do something for the government schools. They need a lot of infrastructure and facilities. Why don't you do something for that? So he asked me, what should I do? I suggested that there's a lot you can do within your area, physical proximity, rather than, because for Ram Mandir there are enough people donating. There's a lot of money which is reached there. But instead of giving for a construction of a temple, you can actually do a lot within your area. So his idea was that he will get a lot of fame. He got a fame, but that was momentary fame. And then in the end, he was complaining that now nobody pays me, nobody gives me anything, and instead they start asking me for money. So from fame, it became a pain to him. So these are all surprising revelations I've been having over the last couple of years, from what I saw, what I thought, and what it turned out to be. And it's very funny that should I really tell the people whom, initially I told people that these are the real, that he is also a good yogi, but later on I find that element of greed and fame and power was still actually there, which he could not manifest in his entire life. And even till the end, he is still trying to hold on to that, what he has, with an aim to, manifest into something. Now, second example of another person whom I thought was very, had many experiences in his place, but slowly I am realizing that now he's he's working to expand his horizon, expand his followers, create ashrams, and his followers, his disciples, his not really disciples who are actually surrounding him there, live with him, are also trying to create that and have that kind of intention that there should be an ashram. And when you look at these places, when you go to their house, you wonder what is the source of income, so they are actually relying on donations, because they don't have any profession actually. How are they able to sustain such a lifestyle? I mean, what is the source of income? How they are doing whatever charity they're supposed to be, they show to be doing, and how they're entertaining so many people. So sometimes you really wonder what is the source. And this is very weird that you are people are donating, people are helping them, but for what exactly? Unfortunately, we are looking for some solutions through these uh, unethical practices. Like people have been going to astrologers and will be going to astrologers, thinking that the astrologers will predict their future and also tell their past and also give a solution to their problems, and which we live in this infinite hope of getting out of our own self-created problems, or the the karma redemptions will get erased by some astrologer who will get some solution, and people keep going and nothing happens actually. And these people also know that these people are asking for something, so they also dish out some solution which is a mix of money and rituals, so that people feel that there is a technique involved in solving some problem. And I've seen these solutions being given to people who have been coming there when I was sitting there, and I laugh at the way people are so foolish that they believe all these things. And so the shop is running. The people are coming. They keep pouring in because one person will come, go, try it out, and nothing will happen. He's not going to go back and tell them. Another person I met in near Dehradun, between Dehradun and Rishikesh, where I spent 20 days. He runs an Ayurvedic center, and I saw his video, and I thought he's talking really sense. But so these people have art of camouflaging things, and they definitely have some knowledge, which they have the art of speaking, they have the art of talking, they have art of speaking. So I got influenced, and I also went to meet him, and I spent so basically I spent 20 days there because he called me. He said, "Why don't you come? And I'm going to leave, and I will hand over the entire thing to you, for you." I was a little surprised. Why is he calling me? How does he know me? But I said, let me go and explore what exactly is this. So when I went there, I saw he's he was working in police, and his police had not left him after retirement. He's been a sadhu for 10 years, and he's in this uh, clothes, and people come with a lot of devotion and thinking that he's an Ayurvedic guru, and he's billing them for 40,000-50,000 per patient, and those people also have that kind of money, and he's buying ghee from the hills for 800 rupees a kg, and he's selling it for 5,000 rupees a kg. So actually he's making a great amount of money, and he doesn't have some specific medicine for specific diseases. And I saw he used to call this one flunky, get that, and it was just few medicines which he was giving for to everyone. And I used to watch, listen, and hear and laugh at what exactly this guy is doing. And the local people know, they call him he's a scavenger, lutera, and he's looting people. So he didn't have any respect in that village where where he had established this. And the worst thing was, he himself had some issues. He had water in the lungs, and his wife also had some issues. So almost every second day he was going to a hospital in Dehradun. And you're treating, and when somebody calls you, you tell them, yeah, I have treatment for everything. For your own treatment, you are going every day to a hospital. And then I also saw some calls coming to him, and when somebody is trying to tell him that nothing worked or something went wrong, so he used to cut the phones. So what happens is, you have a spate of people who keep coming, and you can fool them. They will probably forget it as a loss, or somebody might call you and try to shout at you. And how they market themselves, like now this media, the social media, the YouTuber influencers, they are making a lot of money out of it. So I will talk about this also, that how this social media, YouTube especially, is spoiling the whole scene, and how they are fooling the people, the devotees and the followers and the seekers. So this guy, he called one YouTuber and he paid 1 lakh rupees. So these YouTubers are charging these people a lot of money, and when they pay 1 lakh rupees, his name goes into the market, and that through that YouTube followers, this guy gets his clients. So this is the whole system. Now I'll talk about YouTubers, and there are a lot of YouTubers which has become like a profession. I know one who interviewed me actually when I was living along Narmada for 2 weeks in an ashram, and he told me very clearly, I'm doing it for money and fame, basically money. And in fact, another one in Uttarkashi asked him, why the hell are you doing this? You don't even know how to interview people, how to talk to people. He said, I'm doing it for fame and money. So there are people who are doing it with fame and money, and they just pick up anyone, portray them as a saint or a yogi or a sadhu, great sadhu, and they make big stories and great captions. And people get fooled by them, and they land up there and thinking that there is some great saint. I was in Vrindavan, there is another channel, and I went to meet one saint, and then I realized what they portray is completely false, and what exactly is happening is they just pick up any roadside guy, who's just nowhere near a saint or a sadhu. And when you really understand the whole fabric over there, what kind of people are living there who are portrayed as seen as a sadhu or portrayed by these YouTubers. So be very careful from these YouTube people. And the point is that there are no real yogis, self-realized yogis, you'll find just in these places. It's not possible. These people are actually going through a process. There's a reason. If you see my video on sadhu, decoding a sadhu, you'll understand why a lot of people become a sadhu and what they are going through. So they are not the ones who will, you will gain anything out of them, So the point is, we do have a tendency, and that's the path we navigate, we get fooled, cheated, and so this happens, and people realize it later on, and they can't tell anyone. Like recently, I know this guy who came to that ashram where I was staying, and he got very emotional, and he spent a lot of money there, and after 4 days he realized what I was telling him was right. So then he realized that he got fooled, and he said I was being stupid. But at least he told me this. So many people are being stupid. They get fooled, emotional, devotional, emotional, and where they should spend, if I go and stay in a place like that, I should be maybe spending 500 rupees a day or 1,000 rupees a day. That's the kind of money I should probably give, because, I should not be taking anything free. But people end up spending 2 times, 3 times, because of shraddha, devotion, and emotions. So, and superstition also, and considering these people as some superhuman, they are not. They are disguised in a disguise, even worse than normal people. So they are manipulating and taking advantage of your devotion, and devotion in God, devotion in your beliefs. So we have to be very, very careful. And I thought I will add these points, and I will keep adding whatever I remember. But there have been some very wonderful gurus, like I mentioned recently, and I forgot to mention Maharishi Ramannath and Nisargadatta Guru Maharaj in Bombay. He lived in a normal life, and he was a self-realized yogi. So there have been, I might miss out few. But now, today what is happening is, it's all centered around money and fame. It's all centered around money and fame, and you have to be very, very careful, whether it's a temple, whether it's an ashram. It's very unfortunate the religion and the spirituality is commercialized to an extent that it is kind of criminalized. I'll explain one more incident. The most recent, I went near Tehri. You might have seen a video of Buddha Kedar on my channel. So I had basically gone to spend some time living with a yogi. Now this yogi lives on top of a mountain, about few I think 10 kilometers away from Buda Kedar, there's a village, and on top of on the mountain top, this yogi lives. This mountain is at a height of 2,500 meters, or maybe a little more. Now, this yogi was in Bombay, and after college life, that's what he told me, and that he left, took sannyas, and he lived in Shivaji Park, Dadar, quite a prime area. He studied there, and then he left. So I saw his video a few years back. Somebody had made one doctor, Ayurvedic doctor, who was also an avid traveler in the Himalayas, has met some good yogis. So he had met this yogi, and his video is there, and I had my doubt whether he's a realized yogi or not. So I thought maybe because he's living in a remote place in solitude, so let's try this yogi. So I went there and I spoke to the local uh, village pradhan. So there's a whole nexus. I will explain how it works. So the village pradhan told me, yeah, you can come. And so I went there. Next day morning, I walked up along with the pradhan, and we had a discussion. The yogi and I had a discussion, and he agreed that I can stay here. Then I was told that you just spread your mattress here in the open hall, and you have to live here. There's one room. So what I found that this yogi is now 75-year-old. It's been almost 50 years he's been out. He also lived in Gangotri, he told me, 25 years back. For 3 years he lived in Gangotri, and then he came here. So I was wondering, why did he leave Gangotri and come here? And it's been 50, and last 25 years he's been living here. And for the last few years he's living in this house. Before that he came and he set up a place, a temporary place, and slowly villagers came and helped him and provided him a more livable place. And since his video became popular, I think some people got connected to him from Gujarat, and those people came and they then built a nice 2 bedroom, 2 BHK, nice villa for him. So on top of the mountain, there's a beautiful villa which has been made for him, and he lives in a very nice room, and it's a very comfortable, cozy room. He has attached toilet, bathroom, and has a kitchenette. He has all the facilities in that, and the village people come and do all the work. So there are 2-3 villagers who are living very close by on that mountain. The children come and wash all the utensils, they clean the house, they do everything. So he's actually living a very comfortable life over there. And I didn't see any solitude. His phone was ringing the whole day. He was continuously talking on phone. I realized if this is going to be there, and I was told that I have to go in the forest for my morning routines, toilet and everything, and I didn't have was not given a room, because then he told me that he is not prepared for anyone to come and stay here, but he would love to have somebody, a sadhak, who can come and stay here, because I am getting old and this place can be, like a successor for him. So I said, if you really want a successor, at least make arrangements. There was another room which was filled with all kind of junk, and there's a lot of ration, sacks full of rice and this and that, and so there was more than stuff. There was so much stuff, and he has a lot of cash, because this guy who came, with whom I decided to go back next day, he was given 10,000 rupees for something. So I feel he has a lot of money now. He has everything. He's living a comfortable life. So sometimes I feel, and I didn't find anything wisdom when I spoke to him. I didn't find any wisdom when I spoke to him. And compared to what I spoke to those Lalita Mataji in Gangotri, or Nargiri Maharaj in Gangotri, or that yogi in Kedarnath, compared to that, I didn't find any wisdom in him. And I was really surprised if he has to again get back to living in this kind of comfort, and he wants solitude, but he's all the time on phone, attending phone calls. Then what was the need to go to all those places and roam around, and finally you are back to this. So I'm really confused. I would frankly say I couldn't really understand what exactly was his goal, and what has he achieved, and what will you benefit if you go and meet such yogi. So I kind of decided that uh, he is not the kind of a yogi with whom I can live, because first of all there's no provision for me. He's not willing to share his bathroom, and he has all the comforts of a very good standard, and but for anybody who's going to finally come and live is treated like that person is just nothing. So I think I felt very, very funny. Then there is a small temple in the hall, which he told me that this is just for a show, because people need this, so we have to do this ritual. So that was also a little surprising. Now I'll tell you another incident. When I was living in Devprayag, I met another guy, I don't know, we'll call him yogi or sadhu only, I will call him a sadhu. So he was in Aurangabad, yes. And at 24, he said he had done engineering and he had worked for 2 years, and then he took sannyas at 24, 25. I don't know why. Whatever reason he must have taken, he came to Himalayas, and then he came somewhere ahead of Devprayag, about 10 kilometers ahead of Devprayag, where he made a small hut, makeshift hut, and he started living there. And then he told that people, in the night there used to be animals outside, and then slowly people started coming to know about him, and they made some temporary cottage for him. Now he has a beautiful, it's like a resort. He has 2-3 rooms for guests, bathroom, beautiful lawn. He's living like a. You'll dream of living in that place, and he's completely supported. He said everybody knows me. My students have become MLAs, politician, this and that. So I was telling him this is unauthorized, in the forest area. So won't somebody demolish it? He said no, everybody knows me. So they are under some kind of misconception, wrong ideas they have. One day, So the point I was trying to bring here is that he was telling me that if you're going to not wear these sadhu clothes, so people will not support you the way they support me. So you will not be treated like a sadhu. Then I was just thinking that just for creating a hype and this kind of perception, they become a sadhu so that they get all this. I don't. I am a very personalized spiritual seeker. I don't have to do all that to seek support and this and that. I don't have to create a show. So people do a lot of things just for some vested benefits, and the reality is very different. What the agenda is, and how their life unfolds, how they leave their house. That must be another interesting story. But what they get into and what they're seeking is totally different. So, and he's teaching youngsters. So I was actually wondering, how can people trust their children to go to such sadhu who knows what they're up to. So one should not allow their children to go there, and especially girls. So, and he was telling he teaches students subjects, science and maths, and those people who got taught by him have become something. Like there is an MLA, he said, who was a student, so he's helping him. So I was again perplexed by what all people do and what all they're trying to create, what the purpose is, what is their purpose, what is their agenda, and how they create a world around them wherever they go, despite only attired like a sadhu or a yogi, but the mind is working in, mind is creating their own world, which you feel is. So, as rightly said by a lot of people, that if you really want realized yogi, you have to go, the more remote you go, more towards Gangotri and Kedarnath, there only you'll find those kind of yogis, but not here. So, if the point is that if you go into these religious places, spiritual places, it's scattered, sprinkled with these kind of struggling yogis who have lost their goal in life probably, and they create their own world wherever they are. And that's why this is very deceptive. It's all a deception, and this navigation through this deception to reach the truth is quite a challenge. And I think probably this is a path most of us will take, because that's how people search and then seek and finally realize that there's so much fake stuff all around. Now, I'll also tell you about Pilot Baba, who recently passed away on 20th of August. He was said to be, Pilot Baba himself said that he was a wing commander in the Air Force, and he fought in 3 battles which India fought in 62, 65 and 71. He was born in 1938, and after 19 years he joined the Air Force. So now I'll tell you the gaps in the stories, which is my observation, and till now I've not been able to confirm that he was really in the Air Force. I've asked people in the Air Force, but I haven't got any news, any confirmation from any sources, other source where it is said that he was in the Air Force. And news channels are now also quoting the same things. Z News is telling he was given Veer Chakra, VSM, this medal, that medal. Now I'll tell you one by one my observations. First of all, at 19, nobody joins Air Force and starts flying. And so when he joined, as per him, at 19 he joined, so that was 1957. Okay, in 1957, if he joined, it takes 5 years to actually become a pilot where you can actually fly, because 19 is not an age. You have to do BSc, you have to do a 3-year training in NDA. So did he join NDA, or where did he join? How did he join Air Force? And then it takes 2-3 years of further training to start flying. So if he took part in 62 war, that means by 24 he was already flying. Now one gap I see here is, he also mentioned that he did MSc from BHU University, Banaras Hind University. So if you do MSc, then that means you should be around 22, 23 year old. And after doing MSc only you can join. And obviously you can't be doing MSc in the college and also being in the Air Force. So this itself is a contradictory statement made by him, that he did MSc. So if he did MSc, how could he join Air Force at the age of 19? That means he did MSc when he was already 19 year old, he had already finished MSc. So there's a gap here also. So these are the gaps. Then I will tell you that one photograph of him wearing a uniform is available on the net, and that photo shows that he's also wearing goggles. In those days, I don't think pilots really wore goggles, and the person who's there in the picture is very, very young, and he appears to be 25-year-old young boy, but the stripes, the uniform, the stripes are of wing commander. So he can't be wing commander at 25. You become a wing commander when you reach 36, 37 year age. It takes 16 years, around 15, 16 years to become a wing commander. Because I also became a commander. I got my rank after 15 years of service. And then he said that he left Air Force in 14 years. So if he left Air Force in 14 years, when did he become wing commander? This itself is doubtful. Then I'll tell you another thing. the uniform which he is wearing, the photograph, he is having only one medal. So where are those medals he was awarded? Veer Chakra, VSM and PVSM. So the point is, he's wearing a uniform of this man, whoever's photograph it is. I don't think it is Pirate Baba's photograph. It's a photograph of a man who's wearing a wing commander uniform. The guy looks like 25-year-old. He doesn't have those medals, and he's wearing a wing commander rank. So by the time, if he was a wing commander, he would have got those medals. Those medals should be there in his uniform. So all looks very, very fake. Now, what else was there? There were some more points which I remembered about him. Yeah, he said he used to display samadhi. First of all, no real yogi will display siddhis or powers. So he did rampant display of samadhis. And the point is, when he passed away, he was sick for a long time. So if he was sick and he had mastered samadhi, why didn't he take samadhi and left his body? Why did he fall sick and left like a normal person? So all these, and one more very important thing which I will tell you, because I've been in the Navy as an officer, and his language, his accent of English and his mastery over English, especially the accent, is just not like an officer. It is, his language accent is exactly like what the airmen or sailors or the Jawans have. So I can't believe that he was an officer, because it's very difficult to believe he was an officer and who fought in all these wars. So all the story looks very, very doesn't make any sense, doesn't connect things, and to me it all sounds very, very fake. And that's why, the art of faking, the art of being a guru, art of faking and art of deception is so stealth and so done so cleverly. They're so clever that people really don't come to know. Somebody was telling me, why are you so obsessed with these gurus? I said, it's not that I'm obsessed, but when they are fooling people, and the masses just don't realize this. Thanks.